Hey, what's up, everybody? Sergey here. And did you like that transition, by the way? That was pretty cool. That was live. I know. Welcome, everyone. I see Stevie is here. Steve, you're here. Jack, Mark, Elliott. Man, this is awesome. Well, today I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about Blender 2.8. And I don't know if you know me personally, you know that I am a closet Blender user. I use Blender quite often, but I'm also very passionate about C4D as well. So it's not just Blender. However, Blender is definitely has been on my radar lately. I love what they're doing and I love what they're about, but I want to talk about that today. So I want to talk about Blender and our latest course. And by the way, I just want to make sure that everyone hears me. Can you guys hear me? Hey, Paul. What's up, Paul? Welcome. Let me wait like maybe another couple of minutes just to make sure everybody arrives. But it's not going to be a super detailed talk about stuff. It's just me talking to you about what I'm excited about. And Blender is definitely one of them. And I know a lot of you know me because of After Effects, but actually, like, I'm a big 3D person. Like, I love 3D. In fact, prior to quitting Fox, I mean, 90% of my work was 3D. So I did a lot of 3D stuff. And After Effects was something I was doing at home as far as like teaching. So I love 3D, and that's something I want to do, is transition from like After Effects into 3D, like move people from there and like slowly. So I want to do some Blender tutorials, and you might be thinking like, why Blender? Why not Cinema 4D? You'll see. I think Blender is just a great tool. Edgar, welcome from Mexico. Welcome, Ed. I know you. I didn't know it was Edgar. I always called you Ed, if that's the same Ed I'm thinking of. Okay. Well, I'm going to start here in a minute. One more minute. I'm going to give one more minute, and then we're going to talk about what I'm going to talk about. How's everybody doing? We do have a delay here, but yeah. Okay. Well, I'm just going to go ahead and get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about would be obviously the latest course that we just released, and it's a course that's based on a session that I did at Adobe Max. It's a very simple kind of course on how to animate vector icons and logos in After Effects. Very easy to kind of guide you through the whole concept, and it's 2 hours and 35 minutes long. But right now, because we launched it, we always try to reward loyalty, and we are giving it away for 19 bucks. So for 19 bucks, 2 hours and 35 minutes, you can watch it and learn some stuff. Definitely check it out. The link for it is at the bottom of this video in the description. And let me show you what it looks like, actually. Watch this. Hey, check this out. Look at the transition right here. Huh? That's pretty cool, right? This is all live. I love it. Anyway, so this is what, in fact, make sure you see, yep. This is what the course looks like when you get to it. You can watch the video here. You can learn more about it, what's included, and, you know, the course structure. You can see what I'll be covering. So it's pretty detailed. You can kind of learn exactly what I'm going to be going over. And then if you're ready to take the course, you would just say take the course, and that's it. Or you can also, if you already purchased it, you can click on the videos here and go inside. But again, if you want to take advantage of the early bird price, it's 19 bucks, and as you can see it right here, and then it's going to go up to 67. So just a loyalty thing I want you guys to have for 19 bucks. Sign up, but that's all I'm going to mention. Let's go into Blender. So Blender, here it is, 2.8. Everybody's here? Yeah, that transition is awesome. I want to do it again. Watch this. Ready? Wow, look at that transition. Isn't it cool? Anyway, I'm back. All right, so let's talk about Blender. And honestly, I know a lot of people make fun of me for Blender because I love Blender, and I'm not very quiet about it either. And I remember people would make fun of me for, they would say, what are you going to teach us next? A movie maker? Like, I get it. Blender is not like a Cinema 4D, and it's not, I mean, as far as MoGraph features go, it's not there yet. Definitely, I mean, Cinema 4D is top tool. It's definitely still my #1 tool. However, I just want to show you some things that Blender can do. So now in a 2.8 version of Blender, which is not out yet, I think they're going to release the alpha version soon. But just in general, if you've seen the before and after, what they have already done, it's just phenomenal. I just look at the interface. It's actually looking like a legit like a 3D software. You look around, even in here, I can see tools in here that are collapsible. I mean, it looks modern. I love what they've done. It's super great. And even in here, right, you can do object mode. You can quickly, like, everything looks nice and neat. They did some stuff for shader editor. I mean, they clean things up. They actually put, you can see they put a lot of thought into the UI, which is something that, honestly, that's something that a lot of people disconnected with. We're so, like, quick to judge a tool by its UI, and I get it. You know, you want to make sure that the tool is easy to use. But some of the things in here that they've added are pretty cool. So they have some of the transform orientations. You can have all different, you know, you can do global if you select the object, right? You have like a global of the object, right? But if you rotate it, let me use the proper tool. Here you go. If you rotate this, right, even though like right now it's on global, right? But you want to see the orientation of the object, right? You would go local, and then you can see how it looks like local, the axis or the axis, yeah, and like right here, my favorite one, actually they've added a new button right here. So this one is based on like an object. So if you have this cube, it is going to take orientation of that cube. So for example, if you add something new, bring in something like, I don't know, let's do like a cone maybe. Here you go. You see a cone, and let's say I wanted to take this cone, right, and make it basically, make it to where it sits right on top of this cube. How would I make that happen? So let me actually go back to this. You can go over here. I think it's object. By the way, I'm not like 100% Blender user. Like I'm not like an expert at it, but I know 3D enough to where I can get in trouble. So you probably would go to something like transform and align to transform orientation. And as you can see, it aligns it based on what we have in here. So whatever you have selected in here. So now you can put things on top. I mean, these simple, tiny tools are huge. Like, I love what they've added. And the snapping options, you have everything in here, all the snapping, like it's phenomenal. I love it. And even, let me go into cube, and I'm gonna do subdivide, subdivide. Let's crank that up a bit. So even when you want to play around with these points, and my computer is kind of slow right now, so if you want to scale like one point, but what if you want to scale right here, go to orientation or whatever it's called. Let me see. Yeah, you see you can control, if you scroll the mouse, you can control how many points you control here. That is so cool. I love that they've added everything in here. I mean, you don't have to go far. You can select what shape you want. If you want something like smooth, and hit S to scale. I mean, all of these are awesome. I'm just kind of talking, but I opened up Blender 2.8 recently just to kind of see what they've done, and I'm just impressed. And this is me being excited. I don't know everything, but I kind of just want to talk to you about that to see what you guys are thinking. And so orientation, everything is in here. So UI is going to be huge for new people that are coming into 3D for Blender. I mean, this is huge. So then the shading, this is probably one of my favorite option in here. So let me undo everything. I'll do new. All right, so I have an object like a cube, and then I can bring it up, kind of snap it on top of it like that, where it sits on top of my grid here. And then I'm going to add a floor real quick. Shift S or Shift A, I think, plane, just a floor. So this is nothing new, right? You can do right here, Shift Z to kind of go into render mode. I think it's Shift Z. Yep, Shift Z. You can see that we are in the render mode. But the thing is, now they have a render engine called Eevee, and the way they organize things in here is phenomenal as well. Like the tab system, I love it. Not too crazy about the, like, I feels like I need some color in here. It just seems like you kind of have to get used to it at first. So before, if you're not familiar, they had tabs, but now they're kind of have it light up like on a vertical tabs, which I kind of like. It's really cool, and everything's really, if you click on anything in here, and if you move it, it's responsive. Everything like snaps. As you can see, now we have 3 columns, and then if you go to the right, I mean, I love it. Blender people, you guys are awesome. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. But the render engine, we have Eevee, which is something I really, really am excited about. And here's why, because for something, if you have a laptop, like right now I have a laptop, it's not really fast, and I want something quick using 3D. Obviously, if I do cycle, you can see one frame, I mean, it takes time to render the whole frame. It just takes time. But Eevee does it real time. I mean, real time, you can get something interesting. And then you can bring in textures and stuff, for example, let's go into shader, right? I can select the floor, and let's do, let me hide this. So let's do new, and then we have, there's a period to zoom in, there you go. We have a new principal shader, which is a cool shader. Before, you have to kind of use the node-based stuff to combine everything, but now everything is in here, which is phenomenal. I love it. It's great. So now you can select the color you want, like something maybe dark bluish, something like that. And if you go render, you can see that we're seeing instantly what's going on here. We can do, right, let's do something like a shader. Let's do like texture, noise. We can add noise to, this is like a reflection, right? We can be really reflective. So you can play around with that, but you can say, let's add some noise to that. And there you go. It adds noise to the floor. So that's kind of interesting. You can see in some areas it'll be reflective and some it won't. But here's another thing. You have to go into render, which is right here, and you have to activate all these other things. So like ambient AO, ambient occlusion. You can see some shadows around the edges will appear. I don't know if you can see it, but depth of field, bloom, I'll talk about here in a second. You can turn some of these on. Reflection, you can see the object is reflecting, but you can select the object, and you can actually go into object here and change the color as well. Give it some kind of color. So there you have it. I don't know if you can see reflection, but it's pretty cool. Let me crank that up. So basically, quickly you can create something interesting. I know node-based texturing can kind of confuses people because it's, I mean, it's not regular C4. I mean, C4D has node-based stuff now too, but it's not something you can quickly change in here. But it just makes so much sense. You can just attach things, and I'm kind of quickly showing you stuff. I'm not. This is just me being excited. So this is nothing technical. This is just me showing you some stuff I'm excited about. But here in the next couple of weeks or months or so, I want to get into like really kind of showing you some real world projects in Blender, how to create a wipe, how to create a bumper, a sports graphics, or something like that in Blender that I think would be really cool. So, but this live stream is just gonna getting the feedback from you, like, what do you think about that? Would you like to see more Blender stuff? I personally would, because I love it, but look at the stuff in here. So we have some overlays. You can turn things off and on. Like, I mean, the way they clean this up is really, really cool. I like that. If you've used Blender before, you know what I'm talking about. Like now it looks so nice and clean. You can create geometry. You can see the wireframe here. Like really, really nice. I love this stuff. But what I'm excited about is this right here. You can quickly see something different based on shading. So like they have a HDRI's options. You can kind of choose which HDRI you want, and you kind of see what it look like in a certain environment. In fact, let me change this floor to something darker. So right here, you can see it better. You can see reflection of that. And really it's, I mean, obviously you won't see this in the final render, but when you work on things, you can quickly see what things would look like in certain environments. Like that's pretty cool. And another cool thing, actually, let me go back into this cube real quick and just do some bevel. Let's do bevel. Where the heck is bevel? There it is. So let's crank that up a couple segments, 5, and let's take that down a bit so we can see some specular highlights, and let's make this smooth. So smooth, there you go. So we have something like this, but watch this. So I'm going to add another object, like let's do like a sphere, and let me grab this. Well, let me not do that one. Hold on a second. Let's do something different. Let's do UV one. Yep, I think that's good. There you go. So then I'm going to make it smooth, object, smooth, and I can go and add a new texture. So let's do new, and instead of this principal shade, I'm going to get rid of it, X, and do Shift A. Let's go to texture and emission. Where's it at? Oh, it's shader. Okay, there you go. So basically, I'm going to turn that into a light. So something like this. And I'll make it something bright, like yellow. Right now, you're not seeing anything. However, watch this. So I can go to the, right here, the render, whatever that's called. All this stuff is new to me. I think it's render tab. And in here, you can say bloom. and it gives you something really cool. I mean, you can select this, duplicate this, move this around, scale it, and I mean, this is really cool. You see it in the reflection. I mean, that stuff is really neat. I mean, can you imagine? This is all real-time, like real-time stuff that you can do in your motion graphics. You can render this. I mean, that stuff is just amazing. I love it. And obviously you can do this. You can create another texture and get rid of this, create another light. Let's do emission. Change it to something else. Maybe green. So you get the idea how powerful this can be. But let me show you something else. Let me open something up real quick. So this is a lot of you've seen my open, Ukramedia open. So I took it and kind of just rigged it up a bit in Eevee. So in this new render engine, it's a real-time engine, gaming engine. I mean, it's phenomenal. I love it. So this is the open that you probably see in front of my videos all the time. Let me kind of preview this real quick. So keep in mind, this is real-time on my OK computer, my laptop. It's not anything fast. But look, I'm playing this real-time. This is real-time animation. Watch this. So the shadows, everything is just phenomenal. Keep in mind, real-time animation. And I mean, I can stop at this point and say, hey, don't like the shadow right here. So let me pause this and let's select some lights, like this light right here, and let's bring it, you know, play with maybe. Let me see. Let's select, 1 second. Instead of global, let's do local, and let's push on it right here. So you can kind of move around the light, and you can see whatever I'm doing, it's affecting this render right here. So let me undo that again. So you can see, I mean, this thing is as real time as you want. See, the light, the shadows get affected by it. If I move it down and play with the light again, I mean, that's pretty cool. So this is real-time stuff, and I rendered this out of Blender. However, I rendered it just using Eevee, and I was impressed the result that I got real-time. Just in general, if you go over here and look at the shadows or the reflection and everything, just, yeah, this is cool. Definitely a different way of working. And not only that, I mean, if you go in here in the shading, they've added some other cool stuff. So if you go to just a regular shader, you can have different options. Well, for matte cap, like in here, you can have different options. If you're doing like, let me do this, new, which is something else they added, like new sculpting, right? And in here, my laptop is super slow right now. I'm streaming, doing all kinds of stuff. So in here, you can change your shading, right? You can go and do different ones, like something like this. I mean, really cool stuff. I have to say, I'm really proud of Blender, what they're doing. I'm impressed. There's another few things. Let me kind of guide you. Some of the stuff that I really like is the 3D cursor. I mean, the only, I guess, downside to Blender, it's the right clicking. And I think that's something they're going to approach this time around, to where you, right now to select, it's right click to select everything. But I think there'll be left click select. That's something that a lot of us disconnect with, right? We're used to something that's right click, but now it's just something else. So that's something that always triggers me when I switch between software, but I think they're gonna tackle this one. But with 3D cursor, I mean, there's some cool stuff, which I'm not gonna get into. I know it's not that boring, but it's kind of boring, but I like that you can, there's like a little feature they added. I think it was called, what is it called? I think it was called like quick, I'll tell you right here. So if you right click on any of these and go to, yeah, there you go, add to quick favorites. So when you add this to quick favorites, or maybe, let's see, maybe one of these tools, you can add to quick favorites and whatever you want to add, right? And then all you have to do, if you press Q, you'll have them in here always. I just love the way Blender is heading. Like all the cool little tools and features that they're adding is just really, really awesome. But let me see what else I can talk to you guys real quick. Oh, the pie menu. So before, pie menu, I think when you hit tab, and it was an add-on that you had to activate. But now, like if you do control tab, you access pie menu. You can go into, right, like a texture painting, you can go all kinds of directions. But all it is just control tab, and it will give you different options for whatever it is you have selected. So yeah, it's super, super cool. You know, even like with camera, it'll give you options. So tab key is really cool. And I think it was a crypto mats. Crypto mats is something else that they have introduced that you have to do in compositing, which again, I'm going to be talking about all this stuff in some of my future tutorials where I'm planning on creating like broadcast style graphics and kind of showing you how you can create the same kind of stuff that we create at Fox Sports using something like Blender. So anyway, I wasn't organized at all for this. I just kind of me jumping quickly and kind of like telling you how excited I am about Blender. I'll also like the stuff in here for a laptop. If you're using a laptop, you can use these quick options, you know, go to camera, you can move stuff around, rotate it like that. So yeah, definitely looking forward for people that have laptops, don't use a mouse and stuff like that. Or a numpad key. I think before you just had to use numpad key and now you can switch quickly. So yeah, a lot of new features are coming in, and it's not official. This is just Blender. I think this is just a, oh, I don't have it right here. Just a Blender, like a beta right now. But you can go to this website, builder.blender.org. The link is at the bottom of this video. And you can download the latest builds. They actually upload it every day. And like, as you can see today, they've uploaded it. So every day you can try the latest Blender that they have and kind of experience what the latest features they've added and things of that nature. But I'm looking forward to doing some tutorials with Blender and also After Effects to kind of show you how you can rig things with Blender, you know, animate 3D stuff and then bring it into After Effects and finishing the compositing and rigging and things of that nature, how you can work with two. So that's something I'll be definitely talking about. But I'm curious to see what you guys are thinking. Let's talk about that for a second. I want to see, are you guys, is Blender something you'd be interested in? Jack, okay, you can change the, okay. Yeah, honestly, I think 3D is something that a lot of people are scared about because I get it. 3D is not After Effects. There's a lot, you know, you'll have a lot more features and a lot more things to think about. But ultimately, I think ultimately it's a win-win for everybody because really, like, you can't, I know a lot of people want to do 3D in After Effects, but you can't really, it's tough to do 3D in After Effects because I've done it. Like, I've done 3D in After Effects. In fact, the video I did for IBC, for Adobe IBC 2018, if you watch Adobe videos from IBC, you'll see a video. In fact, let me look that up real quick. Hold on, YouTube. But I used it all in After Effects, so IBC 2018, Adobe. Okay, so if you watch, I don't know which ones they'd have. Maybe that one. Let's see. Yeah, this video I did for Adobe. So the 3D logos and stuff you see in here, like at the beginning. Let me see if you can see it. So that was done in After Effects. This logo and that logo was done in After Effects. So you can do 3D in After Effects and you'll be just fine. But it's so much better to be in an actual 3D environment and work with 3D environments. And I think just showing you the basics in Blender and really kind of getting rid of that fear that some of you might have about 3D. I think it'll open up a whole new world to you. It'll make After Effects super easy. You know, a lot of people say, like, how can I improve my After Effects skills? Well, just start learning 3D. And after that, like, After Effects will be like a piece of cake. You'll be like, oh, wow, I can't believe I was worried about After Effects. So looking forward to that. Let's see what you guys are saying. Tutorials for motion graphics stuff would be awesome. Yeah. And I know what you like, Blender and motion graphics. I mean, C4D is not Blender. I mean, C4D is definitely way up there, and you can't compete with C4D. I mean, the MoGraph features that they have is just out of this world. I don't think anyone can compete with them. However, how often do you actually use those features? That would be my question. I mean, I know there's a lot of like text extrusion and all that stuff is great, but as far as like there are features in Blender that can get you halfway there, and if not pretty close. So, but yeah, I get it. It's easier in C4D. So yeah, Blender real-time games. I'm just excited about real-time. Blender real-time Eevee is just going to be phenomenal. And I was actually in Amsterdam. I got to meet. I actually went to Blender Institute, and I walked in. I got to meet Tan and a bunch of other cool people, Pablo and Jacques, who's the animation node guy. Love that guy, super awesome. So I got to like kind of pick their brains to see what they're working on. And it's a small team. Like I was surprised how small of a team it is. And so if you have extra dollars you want to donate, Blender Institute would definitely be something you should consider. They definitely need help. But I was impressed with what they're doing there, and I really, really love the vibe, the community. I think it's great. Gudo Pablo, yeah. Yeah, yeah, I agree. They do have add-ons, and that's something that people, it's like a handshake in secret society. Only select people know about it. Like if you're new to Blender, it's something you need to be aware about. Like that's something that took me forever to figure out. A lot of things that you probably think that Blender is missing is actually there. You need to go to add-ons and check. In fact, let me see. I don't know if they have any add-ons in the beta, but you would probably, I'm assuming, where it would be preferences, I guess. Yep, add-ons. So in here you see all these add-ons that are not even checked, and I'm only going through some of them. So you can go through all kinds of, if there's something that you love about whatever software you're coming in from, chances are if you just Google it, there's some kind of add-on that will get you somewhat close. So Crowd Blender is awesome. Yep, Steve, I agree. Steve actually got into, Steve is from our community, Ukramedia community. By the way, if you're not a part of our Ukramedia community, you should definitely join. It's a free Facebook community. You should just go and join. It's super awesome. And Steve is part of it. But Steve's been really heavy into Blender lately. I know you purchased some video cards, and yeah, that's another thing about Blender. It's GPU supported, which is awesome. Obviously, C4D is now too, but Blender's been GPU for a long time. Cycles is really great. In fact, Cycles is available for C4D as well. So Fluids add-on, yep. So how many of you, I'm kind of curious, how many of you are actually seasoned Blender users? Because I'm not, I'll be honest with you. It's something that I do here and there. Like for example, I'll do my cases for Ukramedia. I think it's, let's see, I think it's this one. Like I'll use it to do something like this, right? So this is something that I would use it for. Here's like a case, 3D case you would see for this product that I released. So I'll use it for something like that. But as far as heavy like client work, I really haven't done in Blender. I kind of tend to gear towards, obviously, Cinema 4D. However, more and more, I find myself in Blender for like UV tools and UV unwrapping and things of that nature. Blender is just phenomenal in that. And I know C4D is terrible in that department right now. However, I've talked to people at Adobe Max, actually, people that are from C4D, and they were telling me that they're actually, C4D went back and they rebuilt everything from scratch, or I'm not sure how from scratch, but they built a strong system. So now they're going to be adding more and more stuff that's going to be phenomenal. So C4D is definitely moving up, and I'm not saying that I'm ditching Cinema 4D. I still think it's a great tool. The Blender, okay, but okay. The thing about Blender, if you opened up Blender a while ago, even now I think before 2.8, the UI just turns people off. They don't understand it. It's kind of backwards, and the whole like driving in England and America, right? Left side, right side of so there's that, and there's a lot of different stuff. But once you go past that, it's actually a really, really good tool. I mean, you'll be impressed. And I think if you look at it from that first couple times that you open, if you look at it from that perspective, then yeah, you'll think it's a terrible tool and you'll move on. But it's not an amateur tool. I think it's a pro tool you should definitely consider. All right, well, I think that might be it. What time is it now? Hey, again, I know this is just kind of random me sharing my passion. So I definitely, this is not something structured. So to all of you that tuned in expecting to learn something, I'm sorry. This is just me talking about things that I'm really passionate about. And that Blender right now is definitely one of them. And I can't wait to dive deeper. That's something I always wanted to go into, Blender, just to kind of show you how you can do like just an open like this that you've seen me do for my YouTube channel, right? I mean, pretty cool that you can do it real time in Blender and render it with barely any power. I mean, this is my laptop that's mediocre. It's nothing crazy. So yeah. Well, with that, I want to thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in. And I also want to remind you that if you do want to take, did you like that Y, by the way? If you do want to take this course that we just released, the time is now. We have a special $19.99, super cheap. Check it out. I think you'll gain a lot from it. How to animate logos and icons in After Effects. I think you'll pick up a few things. And if you've seen it it's very, very similar to the session that I presented at Adobe Max. So if you've seen my session at Adobe Max, it was an hour and 5 minutes or so. But I took my time with this one. It's 2 hours and 35 minutes, the entire course. So I was able to spend more time on certain things or add more content to it. So I'm really proud of it, and I think you'll enjoy it. So definitely check it out now. And the link is at the bottom of this video. But in the meantime, this is Sergey. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And have a great Tuesday, right? I think it's Tuesday, right? Well, I'll talk to you guys later. Take care.